Thank you for joining me to talk about post-pandemic growth, boosting well-being during a difficult time. My name is Shira Levy. I'm a nationally certified school psychologist in Anne Arundel County. I want to mindfully thank you for being with us today. Encourage you to just take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, grab a drink of water, take a comfortable seat. This is self-care for you, time for you to kind of just take this all in and catch a break. Thank you for doing something good for yourself and for your family. Today, we're going to explore how to create thriving families during a challenging time through learning quick and easy strategies to implement at home to boost well-being, resilience, and growth. Before we hop into the strategies, I want to talk a little bit about why we're here and why I wanted to present this topic. Because what we are seeing at home in terms of different behaviors, some behavioral defiance and disrespect, ignoring, complaining, that's kind of just what's going on above the surface. But these pandemics have really had an impact on many of our teenagers and our children in terms of some more mental health and emotional impacts like isolation and loneliness. We've seen sleep loss, screen addictions, substance use. We've seen grief, we've had losses, we've had specific losses from COVID, we've had job losses, we've had this thing called ambiguous loss, which is really just loss as our lives as we once knew it. We don't really know what our lives are going to look like in the future. We're kind of still reaching back to that state of normalcy, but it's still kind of not like our lives before. We've also had impacts of racial stress and trauma, just with all of the encounters with racial bias and ethnic discrimination, racism, hate crimes that we've experienced as well, kind of on top of all of this impacting us. The virtual learning struggle for kids was definitely difficult, and we are still navigating these new waters of school back to normal. But we're here to talk about how we are braver than we ever thought we were. We are stronger than we ever thought we were, and we can learn new things to help improve our well-being and to promote this growth and resiliency. My background is in positive psychology, and we know from the research that about 50% of our happiness or well-being is dependent upon our genetics, so what our grandparents and our parents kind of bring to the table. We know that 40% of our happiness or well-being is dependent upon what we choose to do, the interventions that we choose to implement in our lives, and the strategies that we use to boost our well-being. And only 10% of our well-being and happiness is based on our life circumstances. So despite what we've been through, traumas, grievances, only 10% of that really does impact our well-being. We have to focus on that 40% that we're in control of. You may have heard of something called post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. But today we're going to talk about something called post-traumatic growth, which is a psychological change that many people can experience after a life crisis or trauma. It doesn't deny the fact that we experience negative emotions like depression or anxiety or this adversity or this strain, but we can experience new possibilities and growth in the future. We're actually twice as likely to experience post-traumatic growth as opposed to PTSD if we know about the possibility of PTSD and what we need to achieve it. So when I think about post-traumatic growth, I think about exercising and lifting weights, because when we exercise and we lift weights, sometimes our muscles are sore. We're actually creating little tiny tears in our muscles, but in the end, it helps us get stronger. So it's not that we're not experiencing these negative emotions and these stressful events, but we can actually get stronger from it. There are 5 domains of post-traumatic growth, including personal strength, how strong we are, which also includes, how strong we are physically, and how strong we are with our character strengths and our values and how we're using those in our daily lives. It includes having closer relationships with people, appreciating life, new possibilities, new goals, new outcomes, and spiritual development as well. So what can we do? Because our mental health is just as important as our physical health. The first thing we want to do is make sure that we have a good sleep routine and good sleep hygiene, because one of the most common things that we've observed over the past couple of years with the pandemics is the disruption in a normal sleep habit. So even 12 to 18-year-olds need 8.5 to 9.5 hours of sleep a night. And this sleep really does impact our ability to be resilient during the day. It impacts our physical health, it impacts our mental health, our ability to focus in school, to do well. So this is one of those things that many people have gotten off track. And I think there are some other great presentations available to you on mindfulness and exercise that also benefit sleep. I wanted to throw out a couple of my favorite apps online or on cell phones available. One is called Healthy Minds, which is a free app for all. One is called Calm, which has a free component, and the other is Headspace, which has a free component. And these apps offer something called sleep stories, which they're also available on YouTube, and they have them for a variety of ages, which can be helpful to help kids wind down at night. But always to remember, exercise, eliminating those afternoon naps for kids that are not of napping age anymore, to keep your sleep routine on a good schedule to get back to where we were. After our body is physically strong from all that great nutrition and exercise and sleep, we can focus on our personal strengths, our character strengths. And there's been a lot of research in this area about how all human beings across ages, races, ethnicities, genders, we all have the same 24 character strengths. So take a look at these strengths up on the screen and think about what is your signature strength. Which strength on the screen do you use regularly that comes easily to you, that you get enjoyment out of when you use? What comes more naturally to you? Maybe it's creativity, if you like creating things at home. Maybe it's curiosity or love of learning, and that you like to study things, you like learning new things, reading. Maybe it is spirituality in your life. Maybe it's a good sense of humor, you're making jokes to make people laugh, or gratitude, finding little things to be grateful for throughout the day. Think about your strengths and think about your family members' strengths. You can kind of create a little mental family strength tree in your mind. At the bottom of this website, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a website, viacharacter.org, that has free strengths assessments that you can take as an adult, and also kids can take it beginning at age 10. It's available in several languages as well, and I highly recommend checking that out for yourself, because it's really important for this growth period to focus on your strengths. We know that when you use your signature strengths, you can decrease symptoms of depression. You can also increase your academic ability. You can increase your productivity. You can build your social skills. So having this new lens of strength, this new language of strength, can really help us grow. In order to use these to maximize the outcomes, we want to be aware of our strengths by taking the strengths assessment, or saving this presentation, printing out this chart of strengths. And we want to try to use this language at home more often. So exploring how different family members use these different strengths during different times, maybe at the dinner table, or while playing, or on a sports field, or in a band concert, or just in normal conversations as they come up, using these strengths and exploring them a little bit more, and then maybe applying them in different ways. So if your top strength is humor, maybe watching a funny movie together as a family would be great. There's actually, if you look up character strengths and movies, you can find a whole list of movies based on character strengths and signature strengths. So trying to apply these strengths, the signature strengths, as much as possible, and even in new ways, can really help to improve well-being. One of my top signature strengths is gratitude, which is a whole category of a good strategy in and of itself. So gratitude actually really boosts well-being. It increases our relationships, which is a big part of that post-traumatic growth domain. It increases our appreciation for life, which is another aspect of the post-traumatic growth domains. It increases our health, our physical strengths, and it also can be a good personal strength for us as well. So at home, you might want to do something simple like take a diary or a journal and leave it by the dinner table and just write down what everyone's grateful for. Something small. It can be something small, like someone helped me tie my shoe today, or I really liked the lunch that I got at school today. So just keep it by the dinner table and write it down once a week. Or you can create a little tree and add little gratitude leaves to it once a week or once a night, whatever feels right for you. Something else to focus on as well, just to kind of build the relationship with yourself and also with your family members, is self-compassion. The ability to be kind to yourself, especially under negative circumstances. So again, that growth period doesn't mean we're not experiencing negative emotions. It can be helpful to name it to tame it. So state the emotion that you're feeling, even if it's a negative one, and it kind of makes you feel better just to say it. Realizing that we are not alone, that mistakes happen, failures happen, and we can grow from these things. Talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. And if you're interested in learning more about this strategy, I recommend you check out the website at the bottom of the screen here. Being present. One of the best ways to build relationships, those personal relationships, which are one of the PTG domains, is really by using something called active constructive responding, which is enthusiastic and genuine responses to someone that you're talking to who might be sharing something good that happened from their day, just going back to that gratitude, the appreciation of life. Asking your family member to share something good, and then you just really simply listening, putting all the distractions aside, even if it's just a 2 to 3 minute interaction. It doesn't have to be a 20-minute conversation, a 30-minute, 50-minute conversation. These small exchanges can just be minutes long. Just no cell phones, no dishes, no cleaning, no cooking. Just designate 2 minutes of time just to ask someone, tell me what went well this week. And then just to listen enthusiastically and genuinely. Don't bring it back to yourself, kind of that passive destructive response of then going back and talking about your day. Just simply listen to them. We don't want to point out any downsides to what they're saying or get distracted by our technology. We want to just be there and be present with them. We want to model and normalize help seeking. So we want to really treat our mental health like our physical health. If we broke our arm, we would probably go to a doctor to help get that fixed. And if we are struggling mentally with these negative emotions and we need to get more towards a growth, resilience perspective, sometimes we need a little bit of help getting there. So really normalize that help-seeking behavior to get there. And if you need help finding someone to talk to, definitely encourage you to talk to your local school psychologist or school social worker or school counselor that can help make that referral with you. The last strategy I want to talk about today is goal setting. So looking at those new possibilities, those new outcomes. We want to be kind to ourselves, knowing that this is a challenging time in many of our lives. So we need to make these goals reasonable. Is it reasonable right now to want all A's on our report card, or to be, top player on the soccer team? We need to be kind to ourselves and realize that we've got a lot going on. We're still recovering from the pandemics. It's still going on. Our lives aren't quite back to where they were. So we want to make goal setting something that we can do to look at future possibilities and at the same time make these goals reachable. So this is one of my favorite goal setting strategies called Whoop My Life. It's called Whoop, and it stands for Wish, Outcome, Obstacle, and Plan. I found this through Dr. Duckworth, a professor who studies grit and growth mindset, so the power of yet. And she has a lab called thecharacterlab.org that has tons of great resources for free. But this strategy is one of my favorites because it's simple. It focuses on some obstacles and plans. So we're going to try it a little bit together today. I want you to think about the strategies that we talked about today. We talked about sleep. We talked about strengths. We talked about self-compassion. We talked about active constructive responding and being present in our relationships. We talked about normalizing help-seeking behavior and putting our mental health first. What is an important wish that you would want to accomplish? What is one small step you can take today from this presentation to help improve your family's growth and resilience? Maybe it's getting that journal or piece of paper next to the dinner table to do our weekly gratitude. Or maybe it's setting aside 2 minutes during the evening activities to put everything away and just listen to what went well this week or what was a struggle this week. Maybe it's listening to one of those self-compassion meditations or reaching out to get more help. What would be the best outcome or the best result from accomplishing your wish? How would it make you feel? What kinds of emotions would you feel if you could implement a small strategy and see some growth and maybe look at life with a little bit of a different lens, despite the struggle we're going through? What would an obstacle be? Our lives are pretty crazy these days. What is an obstacle that might prevent you from accomplishing your wish? Is it people's schedules not matching up, or after school activities, or work schedules? What kind of plan can we make to make this effective, to really work towards making this goal happen? Maybe it's picking a specific day of the week where our schedules are more aligned, or a couple of minutes during a day at some point that we can kind of work things out and shift some things around just to make a couple of minutes for one of these activities. And if you want to just write these down or put them in your phone, just as a reminder to yourself, maybe part of your when then plan or if then plan to make this happen, if an obstacle comes up, is sharing this wish with someone else in your family to help you be accountable for it. So definitely try to look this up and use this goal setting strategy. You can use it for all different kinds of things with you and your kids. And please remember to be kind to your mind. I really appreciate you taking the time today with me to talk about these strategies and to learn about the possibility of growth after trauma and after difficult times.